Barbara Dunbar, age 32. Remarks? I'm beginning to wonder who needs a doctor the most, Barbara or me.
It's the private practice of Dr. Dana. Starring Jeff Chandler in another story from the colorful career of Stephen Dana, M.D.
That's right. I'm Steve Dana. You know, sometimes I think I'll never learn about saying never again. Like getting interested in Barbara Dunbar, for instance. And like going to Mrs. Ellison's cocktail party 2 weeks ago. Mrs. Ellison wasn't really a bad sort, a fashionable, middle-aged lady with a lot of money who came to see me every week so I could tell her there was nothing wrong with her. Then she'd spend the rest of the week telling herself there was. Someday I'm going to send her a big bill. And Mrs. Ellison also had a hobby. She collected people. And she had quite a collection at her 28th floor penthouse when I got there. Maybe 40 people of assorted shapes and sizes. And over on one wall, about a dozen paintings were being displayed. Apparently, the point of the party was to exhibit the work of an artist that Mrs. Ellison had discovered. Oh, she made a habit of that, too. And then she spotted me and came charging across the room.
Dr. Dana, Dr. Dana.
Yes, Mrs. Ellison?
Here you are.
Here I am.
And for one silly moment, I thought you would... Oh, but we must get you introduced to some of these fascinating people.
Oh, look, Mrs. Ellison, I can only stay a few minutes. Why don't you just let me wander around a little?
Come on, Doctor. I'll take you around.
Just a minute, Mrs. Ellison. That woman in the center of the room.
Oh, the blonde?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's Christine Hale, the actress.
Thanks, Mrs. Ellison. I don't want to take you away from your guests a minute longer.
Well, you're sure you'll be all right?
I think I'll be very all right. Yeah, things were suddenly looking up. Christine Hale had honey-colored hair, and I had a strong hunch the color was natural. She was very beautiful without even trying. At the moment, she was looking bored and unaccompanied, so I naturally wanted to change both those things. Hello.
Hello.
I'm Steve Dana.
Steve? Christine Hale.
Yes, I know.
Oh?
Cigarette?
Thanks. Thank you.
Enjoying the party?
Not particularly. Look, this Winters person isn't a friend of yours, is he?
Winters?
The painter.
Oh.
His paintings over on the wall. That's why the party, I guess.
No, I don't know him.
Good.
Why?
Because I won't have to try to think up something else nice to say about them, like everyone seems to be doing.
Oh, that bad?
Not good, I'm afraid. Got a little feeling for color. And that's about it. So, after I tell everyone that, there's not much else to say. What do you do?
Doctor.
Medicine or philosophy?
Medicine, although sometimes the two aren't so far apart.
Oh?
You know, I've just had an idea.
What is it?
Ooh, just that you don't care much for the party, and I don't care much for the party. So maybe we should... Well, that is, unless you're with someone. Are you?
Well, yes. And no.
Well, that's sort of a strange way of putting it.
Mm-hmm. It is. But it's about as close as I can come.
I followed Christine's eyes over to the other end of the room, and one of the best-looking guys I've ever seen. Tall, lean, very black hair and a tanned face. Looked to be in his middle 30s. And then pretty soon, Christine followed her eyes over there. And I got the hunch that this was the someone she was with and wasn't with. It was all a little confusing, but the point was she was apparently unavailable as far as I was concerned. And then my eyes passed over them and focused on a woman in the corner of the room near a window. A woman who looked, well, sort of out of place, and it took me a minute or two to figure out why. Then it came to me. There was a sort of genuineness about her, a quiet simplicity that somehow lit up her soft brown hair, her large eyes, slightly upturned nose. Yeah, as I crossed the room toward her, I noticed she was beautiful in a quiet way, and I also noticed that right now she seemed ill at ease and upset about something. She kept glancing at the group in the center of the room and looking away again. mind if I...
Oh,
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to startle you.
it's all right.
I'm Steve Dana.
Hello.
You come to these parties often?
No, I've been here once before, is all.
I guess that makes both of us rookies, huh?
Somehow thought you weren't exactly an old hand.
Maybe I should have worn a hand-painted tie.
Glad you didn't.
I don't think I know you.
I'm sorry. Barbara Dunbar.
Barbara. May I get you a drink? I said, may I get you a drink?
Oh, no, thank you. I'm sorry. I didn't seem to be concentrating today.
At least 1,000 miles away. Maybe more.
Not quite that far. Not nearly that far.
And once again, I was following a woman's gaze across the room. This time, Barbara's. And once again, the target of the gaze was the tall, dark-haired guy whom I was beginning to dislike by this time. Then he detached himself from the group he was with, started across the room toward Barbara and me. All of a sudden, Barbara got very animated and gay, so much so that it just didn't add up.
On second thought, I think I'll take that drink you offered me a moment ago, Steve.
Okay, what'll it be?
Oh, I think an old-fashioned will do very nicely.
Coming up.
Oh, wait a minute. Here comes Alan.
Yeah, so he does.
I'd like you to meet him, Alan.
Yes, Barbara?
Alan, I'd like you to meet Steve Dana.
Dana.
Steve, this is Alan Dunbar, my husband.
Hello.
How do you... Your husband?
Mm-hmm.
How do you do? Oh, well.
Steve Dana. Oh, it's Dr. Dana, isn't it?
Yes, how did you know?
Well, Mrs. Ellison was telling me about you earlier. She seems to think you're quite a guy.
She talks quite a lot.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, I thought you would. Well, it wasn't very long before I had to admit to myself that Alan Dunbar was quite a nice guy. Pleasant, courteous, and intelligent. Seemed to have a lot on the ball. The three of us stood there talking for a few minutes. Then the two of them left. I started looking around for Christine, but she'd disappeared too, so I did likewise. I was still wondering mildly about Barbara and Alan the next morning when I walked into my office. Of course, he motioned toward the phone on my desk, so I picked up the receiver. Hello?
Steve, this is Barbara Dunbar.
What? Hello?
I wonder if you could possibly stop by this morning.
Well, what seems to be the trouble?
I don't quite know. Nothing serious, I'm sure. Just a little under the weather.
Sure, I'd be glad to.
We're at 147 Charing Lane. Quite a way out, I'm afraid. Do you mind?
Not at all. I'll be there in about an hour. And there was just another thing about it that didn't add up. 147 Charing Lane was quite a way out, in one of the suburbs. The house was Cape Cod, not very new, but very friendly looking. Inside, it was furnished, well, the way I want my house to be furnished someday. A maid showed me upstairs to Barbara's room. She was propped up in bed, looking very lovely.
You probably think I'm pretty inconsiderate, dragging you way out here.
Not at all. Any fever?
No.
Aches or pains?
No, I've been sort of jumpy. Maybe it's because I haven't been sleeping well lately.
Oh, maybe what you need is a little checkup.
Yes, I think that might be just what I do need. Maybe I could come to your office in a day or so, and I feel a little more up to it. That is,
Sure. Sure, you do that. And there it was again. A strange manner that was almost an eagerness. Almost as if she wasn't Mrs. Dunbar. We didn't say much after that. I examined her and gave her something to quiet her nerves. And then I left. As I reached the bottom of the stairs and started toward the front door, I passed the library. Alan Dunbar was in there on the phone. When he saw me, he motioned at me, so I stopped and waited for him.
Yes, Thursday afternoon, usual place. Yes, that'll be it. One way or another. Bye. Sorry to keep you waiting, Dana.
Oh, that's okay.
Barbara, is it anything serious with her?
Oh, I'm pretty sure it isn't. As a matter of fact, it's a little puzzle.
Oh? How so?
Well, physically, her health is exceptionally good, but she seems to be pretty upset about something. Would you have any idea what it might be?
Not the slightest.
Which meant, of course, that there was something upsetting Barbara. That Alan knew what it was, and that he didn't think it was any of my business. which left me just about one thing to do. Go back to my office. I did. I found Mrs. Ellison there for her regular weekly appointment.
You certainly made quite an impression on one of my party guests, Doctor.
Did I?
Yes, indeed. Barbara called me the very first thing this morning. Wanted your phone number.
Yes, Mrs. Ellison. I'm a doctor. She wasn't feeling well.
Certainly seemed to be feeling all right last night. She doesn't lose any time. You'd better watch out or I'll be getting jealous, Doctor.
Look, Mrs. Ellison, I'm sure Mrs. Dunbar is happily married.
Oh, we're all sure that Barbara is happily married. It's just that we sometimes wonder whether Alan is.
Well, fortunately for us, Mrs. Ellison, those things don't concern us, so we don't have to worry about them, do we? A little easier said than done, of course. The next morning, Barbara came in. And unfortunately for me, she was even prettier than I'd remembered her. And nicer. So that after I'd made the tests I wanted, we started talking about nothing in particular. Pretty soon it was noon and we were both hungry and, well, I can't even remember who thought of it first, but all of a sudden we were having lunch together.
You're quite a doctor.
Am I?
Mm-hmm. I'm feeling so much better than I did yesterday. It's unbelievable.
Good. We'll have to keep it that way.
I'd like to. Maybe the trick is to see my doctor frequently.
You know, maybe that's not exactly a bad idea. Yeah, I guess that was where and when it started. That day at lunch when we suddenly realized we were enjoying each other's company quite a lot. Maybe both of us knew then we were heading for trouble. I don't know. I just know that during the next few days we were together a lot, doing a lot of different things and enjoying them all.
175 yards? Watch this one.
All right. What a drive.
Lucky.
I doubt it. I'm beginning to think giving you a stroke a hole was too much. How about reconsidering?
Not on your life. I had another item I didn't know about you.
What's that?
Would you like comfort?
Got a secret for you. I didn't know it either.
You know, Steve,
What?
nothing.
Hey, it's going to be a knockout.
What a fight!
Yeah. Yeah.
I sort of had a stranglehold on you, I guess.
Well, I think of worse things that could happen to me.
Let's leave.
Yeah. Like I say, we were heading for trouble. And I don't think either of us saw it coming very clearly. It arrived the next night. We were dancing.
Steve?
Mm-hmm.
Sort of good to dance with you.
Likewise.
Too good.
I've been thinking about that, too.
Too much fun having dinner with you. Going to the park. Just being with you. Steve, I'm so confused. I'm almost lost.
You're not alone. Look, I think I better take you home.
I think you
We didn't say much on the way home. But later, when I was alone in my apartment, I did a lot of thinking. It all added up to the same thing. The only answer there was. About midnight, I'd called Barbara and told her I wanted to see her the next morning. From the tone of her voice, I gathered she wanted to see me, too, for the same reason.
The way things have been.
Oh?
I suppose you know that Christine and I have been seeing each other again, huh?
Well, I wasn't sure.
Look, Dana, I'm a sort of confused individual right now.
I think you've got quite a little company.
I've got to make a decision pretty soon. By tomorrow noon, as a matter of fact, but... Well, what I want to say to you is I don't know how you feel about Barbara. I don't know how she feels about you. But I don't want to see her hurt any more than I've already hurt her.
You know, Alan, I'm glad you feel that way. That makes two of us. We had another cigarette after that, and then he left. The next morning, about 10, I picked up Barbara, and we drove over to the park. We got out of the car and walked around a little in the warm morning sun. Then we sat down on one of the benches. You know, we better call this thing off quick.
I know. I didn't realize until last night how far it had gone. I'm so ashamed of myself, too.
Shame? Why?
For using you the way I have.
Using me? Well, you can't mean using me to make Ellen...
Jealous? No. May I tell you about it?
Yes, I wish you would.
Alan and Christine used to go together. They broke up. Christine went on tour with a play, and Alan and I fell in love. Were married. Things were wonderful until recently. Alan had been acting pretty strangely. Sort of moody. For about 2 weeks before I found out Christine had gotten back a couple of weeks before.
You think she...
I could tell that Alan suddenly didn't know where he stood. How he felt about Christine. So I thought I'd just sort of move away from him a little. Give him a chance to get some perspective on both sides.
I think I understand.
Well, I guess that's how it all started, Steve.
Yeah, you needed to have your time taken up.
I don't know what it was, or is about you, Steve. Instinctively, I turned to you. First, it was just that I enjoyed being with you. And all of a sudden, it was something else I hadn't counted on.
Yeah.
So, Steve, dear, all I can say again, I'm sorry if I've used you. I love Alan, Steve. I don't want to lose him.
I know. Look, Barbara, you're wrong if you think I resent it. I don't feel used. But I think there's something you don't quite realize about all this.
What is it, Steve?
Well, you figured all this out. You were going to give him every chance to arrive at a decision. It just doesn't work that way.
What do you mean?
I mean, it's futile to try to stack the cards.
Well,
you and me, for instance. Things didn't exactly turn out the way we'd planned with us, did they?
No, they didn't.
That's what I mean.
Doesn't leave much for me to do, does it?
No, it doesn't. It means you just have to let go of it and do nothing. Wait and accept what happens, one way or another. Try not to tear yourself to pieces about it.
That's sort of a big order.
I know.
I think you're right, Steve. I can see a little what you mean. I'll try.
I know you will.
And Steve, it probably doesn't do any good. I told you I loved Alan. I do. But if there weren't...
You don't have to say it, Barbara. I think I know.
Bless you, Steve.
Well, that was that. She wanted to sit there for a while, so I left. Yeah, Barbara was going to be all right now. But I wondered about Alan and Christine. I didn't know what good it would do for me to look up her address and go on over, but that's what I did. She was packing.
This is sort of a surprise, Steve. You'll have to forgive the looks of the apartment.
You're leaving?
Mm-hmm.
Mind if I ask, alone?
Alone.
You know, noble is an overworked word, but...
Steve. I'm not being noble. Just using my head.
Oh?
Took me a while to get around to it. I guess the impact of seeing Alan again when I got back sort of confused me. But, well, I guess it was just a couple of hours ago when I finally got it straightened out. You see, Steve, Alan and I weren't right for each other. Ever. It just took me a little while to see it.
So now you're leaving.
Mm-hmm. Look, do me a favor, will you?
Sure.
I was supposed to meet Alan for lunch at a place downtown about a half an hour ago. We were to decide what to do, one way or another. I decided not to go because I'd already come to a decision. Suppose you could...
Yeah, I'll tell him. She phoned for a cab, and then I carried her luggage downstairs, and we stood on the curb waiting. Then a car pulled up. It was Alan. But he wasn't coming from the direction of downtown. He was coming from the direction of his home. He got out of the car and walked over to Christine.
Christine?
Hello, Alan.
I owe you an apology.
Apology?
Yes, I guess it was very rude of me not to show up. Even if I'd already decided
You
that...
mean you didn't show up either?
Either? Then you... Looks like that's about it, huh?
They didn't say anything more, and pretty soon Christine's cab pulled up. She kissed Alan on the cheek and left. Alan drove me back to the office in his car. Didn't say anything until we were almost there.
Funny. Oh, the way things are.
Sort of a broad statement.
Yeah, I was just thinking about the reason I seem to have so much trouble making up my mind. Or rather, finding out how I really felt.
Reason?
Uh-huh. You see, when Chris came back, it sort of brought back a lot of feelings I've had about her before.
Oh?
And that's what was bothering me so much. I felt sort of guilty. And it wasn't until this morning that I realized that it was perfectly natural. That you never really forget a person you've been involved with. That there's a part of you that goes on caring about her. I didn't realize until a little while ago, though, that it is just a part of me, not my life.
I think maybe that's the right way to look at it.
Steve.
Yeah?
Here's the Majestic Building. Is this where you get out?
Yeah. Yeah, this is where I get out.
And there you have The Private Practice of Stephen Dana, M.D., starring Jeff Chandler, with Betty Lou Gerson, Mary Lansing, Laurette Philbrandt, and Gerald Moore. Tonight's production was written by Bob Reif, produced and directed by Sterling Tracy, with music by Eddie Dunstetter. Tip Corning speaking. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.